Welcome to the Market Moment. My name is Matt Walters here with John Martfeld and Lee Mackey, and today we're getting into some good topics. First, ETFs pointing the effects of inflation, so we're going to get into that. Whether bankruptcy is a shield, and spaving. We'll explain what that is. So, before we jump in, we good? Ready to go?
We're good.
We're good. Yeah, I think we're good.
Summer's upon us.
Before we started the show, Matt was making fun of Lee and I being the old guys in the office. So
Yeah.
we're a little hurt feelings, but I mean,
I just want to make sure
We're over.
cognitively
We're just-
y'all are on pace with me here. Like you're not.
we're keeping it up so far.
Okay.
We're one sentence behind.
I'll talk slow and loud. Okay.
Thank you.
So, consumer ETFs showing the real inflation picture. Two ETFs painting the interesting picture of Americans changing spending habits as people switch from what they want to what they need. Consumer Discretionary selected SPDR ETF, which counts General Motors, Chipotle, and Deckers among its top holdings, is down for the year, comparing to the Consumer Staples Select SPDR ETF, which is up more than 8%. Top holdings, Procter Gamble, Costco, and Walmart. Real quick here, Walmart, nation's largest retailer, said this last week that it continues to lure upper-income shoppers, those with incomes over $100,000. So they see that they're using more of their paychecks to spend on non-discretionary categories and less on general merchandise. And then lastly, we saw Burberry take a massive hit, dropped a bomb on investors, disclosing annual profits dropped 34% and same-store sales declined. So, you know, if you're looking at ways for the market to give us a sense of how inflation is impacting people, right, this is maybe a way to see it in a chart. Thoughts?
You know, we were probably at Mach 1 a little early to this. You know, we kind of thought that this would come in probably Q1, Q2 of last year. The consumer remained very strong, and it still does. I think that some luxury retailers are still kind of holding in there. Lululemon, for example. But
Have
yeah.
you tried Lululemon? That's more of a staple than a.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could
once
be.
you try it,
Once
I mean,
you try
can't-
it,
Yeah.
becomes a staple.
You know, this is exactly what we thought would come, and it's happening. It's here. This is a perfect sign of inflation. You know, the average consumer can only hold out for so long.
Hey, so speaking of Lululemon, year to date, they're down 36%.
Are they really?
Wow.
So
So they're getting
they've
crushed.
begun. To
If you
feel
look
as
at the
well.
Crane Shares Global Luxury Index, it's slightly. Oh, hold on, I didn't even have it pulled up. It's basically flat for the year.
Okay. So there are some that are faring okay, some that are not. What I kind of tell folks, and it's, you know, the Procters and Gambles of the world, the Dollar Generals, Walmarts. I mean, there's nothing sexy about those stocks, but when a recession hits or when inflation gets high, you know, I kind of joke with my clients and say, you still got to brush your teeth.
Yeah, exactly,
You got to put deodorant on, and you still got to wipe your bottom.
Yeah.
And you still have to eat, and Walmart becomes the place to be. And I say this is no brainer, right? Like you said, we may have been early, but this is obviously coming with the way our economy is rolling along right now, and inflation has not been contained, and it's still there, and it's still affecting lots of Americans. And so this is not a surprise. The surprise is it took this long for this switch to start happening.
You know, and
in
I
my
think
opinion.
where it's really hit is food, you know, grocery. And Walmart has become such a massive player in the grocery space that I think when you dive into their numbers, I mean, grocery has done very, very well because, you know, they're buying in such massive quantities, and they've become a behemoth in the grocery space.
Even in our life, you know, my wife and I we like to get our meat at a specific spot, right? And we used to get all our groceries at the same spot, and it's so much more expensive than Walmart that we go to Walmart, get our normal stuff. We still get our meat where we get it, you know, but we've even changed our habits based on pricing, and the pricing at these higher end stores has gotten out of control. I mean, 2 or 3 bags of groceries. The last time we did this was about $200.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did this come from? I know it's been coming there. It's been going there. I just don't shop a lot with Kathy. So maybe I haven't seen it, but I was like, okay, this is truly hitting the American people hard. You talk about, you know, we kind of live in a bubble in Northwest Arkansas, but the whole country is going through this in less fortunate places than Northwest Arkansas, where we live in a very economic booming kind of area where buildings are going up every 3 seconds. but the rest of the country is not following suit as hot as we are, right? So we kind of lose sight of the fact that this is a pretty big deal. Middle class and under, and that affects them harder than it does, obviously, upper middle class and higher. And it's starting to trickle up
It's
to upper middle
it's starting
class.
to trickle up, and I think that's the difference now is even the higher income earners, that discretionary spend is just not what it was a year ago, 6 months ago. I mean, because it's not sustainable forever.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
You know, there is a cumulative effect, and and we've kind of talked about this, in that, the Fed in these rate rising cycles, typically the first rate cut is a month or so after the last rate hike, and we're not getting that this time. I mean, we are going to have these higher rates for longer because inflation is here. And so some of this question was, how does the economy withstand a prolonged period of inflation? And I think we're beginning to see it.
The market is funny. It's very resilient, as we know, right? It keeps motoring along. And I can go back several years ago when if the 10-year treasury got above 2%, watch out. The NASDAQ was going to get busted. Well, where is it at today? It's far. It's over 4. That. So even though we keep setting these markers, and every time you set a marker, it's like, oh, God, if it gets above 5%. I heard that yesterday. And we're close, oh, gosh, watch out. The NASDAQ's going to sell off. And the market continues to be resilient. I do think there's going to be, my opinion, there's going to be something coming around the corner here that's not as great, because you can't keep going up this and the inflation fight. And if you can't get it under control, the things we've been trying to do, and the money's not streaming through as much as it was before, there's, these are signs right here. Consumer is spending less on big items. That's going to trickle. What eventually affect corporate profits all around.
Yeah, what's interesting though is we've seen, revenues have come in very weak so far. But earnings have been solid.
Yeah.
So we've seen where top line revenue has softened, but companies, because of pricing power and because of cost control, right? They've been able to keep earnings strong. And how long could that last? How much capacity do they have? Could they do that for 3 or 4 quarters in a row and keep earnings strong, even if revenues are softening? Maybe. I think
it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it will
eventually.
Be. And that probably means some people lose their job, right? And the labor market's not as strong because they're not going to be hiring as much.
And that's happening. Yeah.
So,
for the past week, we've been looking at apartments for our daughters. One has graduated from college, one is transitioning to another place.
I thought you were talking about senior living for you.
Thank you. That's expensive as well. Man,
carrying through with it, Jared.
Yes,
he is close though. I think it is. I'm close.
Guys, okay. Well, welcome to the Bash Lee segment of our podcast. I mean, rents are high.
Oh gosh.
Crazy.
I
mean, it's a 1-bedroom up here, average $1,200-1,300.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's
for
not getting
one bedroom.
1 bedroom. That's not getting your frills and
right.
I mean, it's $1,200-1,300 and up.
And this goes back. I know I keep harping on this, but I actually feel sorry for young folks getting out of college. The U of A had the graduation. All the colleges, obviously, everybody's graduating. But there's so many kids out there looking for jobs. Mm-hmm. I mean, just think about the mass of kids that have graduated in the last month, and how many jobs are they're looking for, and how many jobs are actually out there. And you look at Walmart, just laid off some people. We've got companies announcing layoffs. And people are all these thousands and thousands, 100,000 across the country looking for jobs. It's a tough time. And then when you couple that with the fact that apartment rents like that are so expensive, and you have to have a job to pay for that, I mean, it's a little problem there. I mean, that's why a lot of kids are moving back home. By the way, Lee, do you have extra rooms?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sore subject. All right, go on.
So we're actually going to jump to the third topic because I think it kind of a more natural flow into what we're talking about.